Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Cristian from Ill Nino. I want to send you a warm hug, big horns up, and you are listening to Commission on Voice FM.
Hi, Christian. It's Kat.
Hey, this is Cristian. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Just chilling out here at home.
Awesome. So, well, it has been, like, you guys were here for Soundwave, was it 2013?
Yeah, last time we were there was, I believe, 2013. The exact year escapes my memory right now. It might have been 2013 or 2014. I can't recall exactly.
Well, you haven't been here since you released the album Till Death La Familia, have you? It was before that you came.
Yeah. It was before we put out the record. We technically haven't gotten there on that on this album cycle yet.
No, you're technically still not doing.
Well, I mean, we'll definitely be doing the whole set for Revolution. And I think that we're going to sneak some surprises in there. You know, just to, as you mentioned, it has been a long time since we've been to Australia. And I think rightfully so, we're going to give the fans as much as possible. We're going to leave everything there, you know. We'll probably need a vacation to recuperate from it after the shows.
Yeah, definitely. Well, actually, speaking of that, because it has been now 15 years since you released your debut album, Revolution. How do you say it exactly?
Revolution. Same word, but just in Spanish translation.
Right. Because you're from Brazil originally.
Originally, yes, South America, in Brazil, and raised in Venezuela. And, you know, very grateful to have a mother who wanted to somehow make her way up to North America and find whatever American dream was available at that time. You know, I mean, America was definitely a prosperous country 30 years, 25 years back, and we still are, you know. That's not to say that you know, nations like the United States and Australia and they aren't, you know, doing well. But, you know, back in the day, it was people traveling from a lot of different parts of the world that would, not so much just nearing countries that migrated, but a lot of people that flew in and just stayed past their visas eventually became residents and stuff like that.
Yeah, and you've made quite an impact. Can I ask, like, what's it like with having your debut album make such a big impact? Because it's hard for a band to do that.
You know, I'm very grateful, and I truly feel blessed. I mean, it's something that we can do, and the only reason that we can pull it off is because our fans are attached to that album, you know. It's, as you said, I think it was an album that made an impact on definitely our lives, and, you know, we hope that it made an impact on everyone's lives that comes out to the show, and it's something that's amazing to be a part of, you know. Sometimes we're in the band, we talk about, did you ever think that we'd be here 15 years later? You know, every time we get together for a tour, we joke around, you know, did you think we'd be here, guy? We look at each other, you know, we've gotten old together and stuff like that, and we didn't think we'd be here for that long, but, you know, the music industry is a crazy place, and we were very lucky to just have been very focused at the time to put out, you know, a very quintessential album for us. You know, some people would say the first two were very, they were unlike each other and separate in different ways. They were, you know, broad albums on their own, I suppose. But the first one in particular, I think, definitely made a huge impact on our lives. And, you know, it's the album that gave rise to what we now call Latin metal.
Well, I was thinking it's actually, it's quite like an early father of metalcore type music in that, but when I was thinking that, I was also thinking Ill Nino is a band that you don't actually hear, you know, put into a genre very often. I think people find it difficult to pigeonhole you into any genres.
Yeah, I mean, I think that in that sense, we're six very different individuals, though we have a lot of things that we share in common as musicians and as friends. You know, we come from somewhat different backgrounds. Some of us traveled from different countries with our families to get to America. And obviously the one thread that ties us all together is, you know, being metalheads. But I think underneath it all was certainly an appreciation for culture just because of the fact, you know, we mostly, all of us are multicultural people. You know, we didn't grow up in just one culture. We either migrated from South America and basically weaved ourselves into the American culture, or, you know, we were born in a very multicultural part. For example, Laz, our bass player, you know, he's from Uptown New York, which is a very Latino community. It's just a very diverse community in general. And which is very grateful, to have gotten the chance to do something like that. It's not, I think that individually, if we all would have stayed in our own countries, we might have done music, but not in the way that we did. And I think coming from different parts of the world and experiencing the world in different ways allowed us to make something that's very broad. Like I said, the one thing that ties us together is being a metalhead, but certainly that first album experimented with many things that were not really present in metal at the time, and a lot of rhythms and even instruments, flamenco guitar and percussion and the bilingual element, which you could say, sure, there's a lot of culture in music at that time. Bands like Dub War, who later became Skindred, and Rammstein, who has their own language that they pretty much inject into their metal. But I think it was just a cool thing at the time. And, if anything, I would just consider us a metal band, but we have culture at the forefront of most of what we do.
And, well, can I ask, at the time, like you said, you still get up there and say, can you believe we're doing this? What were your plans in life? I mean, did you think that you could possibly make a go of music, or did you have some backup plan at the time?
In my mind, I definitely knew I could make any music. I think that most well-trained musicians, at least to get to that level of musicianship where you're good at your instrument. And at first, I wasn't a vocalist at first. I played string instruments most of my life. And, to get to the level where I was at as a string instrument player, you have to believe in your mind that you can make it, You have to believe that you can be as good as all the people that you inspired by. So, I always believe that, there's a shot, but obviously it takes the right chemistry, the right amount of people. And even when the creativity and the concept comes from only one or two people, it still takes a great chemistry to be able to deliver that across all instruments. And, it took Ill Nino. We all came from different bands, and our drummer, who was the more veteran of us all, he had been touring for many years and had been in different bands that were signed, and, he knew about the industry before we started out. So that helped us out a lot as far as being careful and having an eye on things that may interject or make us disagree or lose sight of, the friendship. And even though we did have some number changes, I think, we believe that somehow we could get through and break the ice, That's the main thing is that we wanted to test ourselves as musicians or just push ourselves to the limit as musicians as far as songwriting and talent and putting that together and not having one overshadow the other, but equally songwriting and talent. And I think we just wanted to we were inspired by a lot of different bands and wanted to do it our own way. We're very lucky that we did. That's the only thing that actually has kept us around this long. Is possibly why our fans are connected to the music and they feel like they can get something original when they listen to our albums.
They definitely can do that. And I want to ask, actually, because I'm reading here that you were given and used Dave Williams from Drowning Pool's microphone. Do you still use that microphone?
No, I don't anymore. I did deal with it for many years, but because of reasons that it was known that it was his microphone stand, and I couldn't always be present when it was around, and there was times that people tried to take it and steal it and things like that. So I have a microphone stand that's almost an exact replica of it that I tune with, but it's not to try to deceive anyone. It's because I don't want the original to be lost or stolen, and there have been several attempts, so I didn't want that to become, a part of my reality.
Yeah. It must have been a hard time, and I guess in the music industry, unfortunately, you do lose good friends far too young. How does that sort of thing affect you as a musician and songwriter?
That's a great question. Especially the last couple of years, we've lost, me personally, and I'm sure a lot of people in the industry, because the older you get, the more that you can clearly see the reality. We all have an end date, and whatever that end date might be, they can participate in holding it off as long as possible, and we can participate in, pulling it closer and closer to the current moment we're in. But I guess I'm definitely inspired by it. I'm inspired by the friends that I've lost in the industry and the people that were here and that were good friends that aren't here now. And not just necessarily people in bands, but a lot of friends that were in crews, part of crews and tour managers and guitar technicians, drum technicians, lighting designers. And even close to us, we lost a front of house engineer a couple of years ago, and he was a dear friend of ours. And and the only thing that you can do is learn that you have to live in the moment. You have to really live life happily, however you could, and enjoy your friends and your family as much as possible. Because as much as you can think you know everyone, inside each person's individual mind and thoughts, you can never really get in there. And some people don't see life completely positive, and they perhaps have a little bit of torture that they put themselves through. But life is a ride, and no one can really tell you how to go about taking the ride. You can take it on a high bullet, on a bullet speed train, or you could just go sightseeing on a really slow tram. So it's really up to each individual. And I'm certainly inspired by a lot of the friends that I've lost, and it's sad, and mostly it pains me because I think of their families and how hard it must be for them. I can't imagine. When I lost my grandmother, it was extremely painful to have to go through it, and especially to have someone dying in your arms. Life and death, I think it's part of the ride that we're on. It really depends on the route that you take, I suppose.
Yeah. And sorry, now that I've gotten you into that state of mind, can I ask you, as Ill Nino, what has been the most wonderful experience that you've had in the whole time you've toured and played with Ill Nino?
The most wonderful experiences, and it's not just one because it's several, would be making a real life contact, communication, connecting with some of the fans that have been with us through many, many years since the beginning. And we take, I don't want to say pride, but we definitely take the time out to thank them and to let them know that, if they feel connected to the music one way or another, we want to somehow meet them one day, and we're very approachable people, and we may not be totally accessible all the time, but the best experiences are certainly connecting with the fans. A couple of tours ago, I was just doing the show. At one point or another, I would just give a huge hug to I would hug as many people as possible in the front row. Usually, the hugs, when you think about it, how many people could you hug at once? You really can't get past about 10 people, because then the circle gets too big. But to me, those are the moments to live by. Because how often can you say you were able to do that, to truly connect with 10 people and to hold each other in a way that you could actually feel the resonating of being a human being, and it actually feels like a hat feels. So, that's the greatest moment for me.
Yeah, no, I got a bit of a tingle through my body when you were saying that. It sounds amazing, and it sounds like everyone should definitely get out to see you when you come to Australia, and make sure you can sneak up the front and get a big hug.
Yeah, and if you can't get a hug, you better just get as many people around you, which is getting hug as many people as possible. That's,
Yeah, that's awesome.
Every time there's a fight at shows, if it's something that we have to stop the song for, we stop the song and we make them hug each other. Before anybody gets kicked out, the people that were fighting are going to hug each other before they get kicked out of that venue.
That's awesome. That is really awesome, and I really look forward to actually coming and seeing your show. You're going to be here in August, starting from the 2nd of August in Perth. You're at Max Watts in Melbourne on the 5th of August. You don't actually, you 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, you do not have a day off during the tour, but you did mention there's a possibility you might have a few days off at the end of the tour?
We might actually fly in a couple of days earlier.
Oh, yeah.
To do the pre-production for the tour there.
Mm-hmm.
We have some really good friends in Perth, and we're hoping to see if we can fly in earlier to do the production there. We got, a loving relationship with some people in Australia, and we want to get out there and try to see if we can hang out with them a little bit. If not, I would man, I would love to stay a couple of weeks at least. I mean, the last time I spent some time there, Australia's one of those countries that makes you feel like you got to spend a month there to really get to know it.
Yeah. No, awesome. Please do. Anytime. You're quite welcome. You should come here and write an album, your next album. That's what you should do.
Oh, that would be amazing. I would love an experience like that.
I'm guessing, though, you're working on a new album because it has been 3 years.
Yeah, we all have individually started putting some ideas down, and we definitely have enough music for an album. We haven't gotten together in the studio all together and started kind of going through the ideas and sifting out the better segments or the better concepts. And I think that at this point in our career, we can't do anything that's too underthought. We really have to, put out an album that I think is going to have an impact, and as much as possible the same kind of impact that we did in the beginning when we first came out. And I know that it's a hard challenge because most bands, when they come out, usually the album, there's one album that comes out in the first 5 years of most bands' career. That's usually the album that's to be loved, and it's tough to try to challenge yourself to bring yourself back to that creative moment. But man, I would really try. I would really want to give it a try. And I know that it's challenging, but it's the one thing that we could do on the next album for the fans is at least do that.
Yeah, awesome.
We plan on having some music, out next year.
Awesome. Another reason to come to Australia anyway. You'll have 2 albums to tour then.
Right.
You are bringing your debut album, Revolution, to Australia in August with Terror Universal as your guests, and that's through Destroy All Lines. You can get tickets, and you can find more about Ill Nino at Official Ill Nino on Facebook. Thank you so much. Seriously, I was meant to interview you for Soundwave, and the studio got pulled apart and I couldn't do it. And I was meant to interview you a few weeks ago and I got a new job and I couldn't do it. And I've been so dying to get to talk to you, and it's amazing to have finally had the chance. Thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing you in Australia.
Thank you. The interview was awesome.
Thank you. Well, hopefully we can...
I look forward. Hey, and when you come to Melbourne, make sure that you let John Howard know.
I will.
We put you on the guest list and that we meet and at least say hello and all that.
I'm looking forward to it so much. It's been amazing. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a great day.
Thank you. Take care. See you there.
All right. Bye.